both myself and my sister came into a little bit of money. And my dad always wanted to do a project with my husband as a builder. So we thought rather than the money sitting in the bank earning no interest, we'd buy a small property, do it up in my dad's name and make his inheritance grow for our children. We found a house in November 2018. So we instructed our family solicitor, who we'd used for many, many years, to do the conveyancing for us.
After completing all the paperwork, the time came to pay and complete the purchase.
I get an email, it was from the solicitor, saying, we're going to need some funds. Came up with the address of the property I was buying, so I thought, happy days, this is great. They'd sent me the bank details that they wanted the money to go to, so I got home that night, tried to do a transfer for $95,750, which was the price of the little house. But the bank said the maximum you can transfer is $50,000. So I did a transfer for $50,000. The day after, I had to pay the next $45,750. But in the meantime, the solicitors had come back to us and said, we've got an audit going on at the moment. So the auditors have said, could you please pay the remainder of the balance into this account?
Again, a different account,
is that? A different account.
Sally transferred the remaining money to the new account and thought nothing more about it. A few days later, her bank got in touch.
The lady just said, what is this money for? So I said, purchase of a house. So she said, right, okay. She said, the payee bank had said all the money had been paid into an account of a different name. So they just said, is this solicitor's genuine? So I said, yeah, I've known him for about 40 years. I'm sort of second-guessing myself now. I said, but I'll ring the solicitor and I'll ring you back. Rang the solicitor and I just said to the secretary, I said, yeah, I've asked me for money this week, haven't you? And she said, no, Sally, she said, we haven't. So I said, I've sent all my money. So she said, oh, Sally, she says, nothing we can do. And all I was told was, Sally, I've been told by my IT guys I am not at fault.
Really?
Oh my
So it's solicitors that you've worked with for years?
Yeah. What it turned out with investigation down the line was the security on the conveyancing solicitors' accounts was not kept up to date. So there were a number of occasions when hackers had jumped into their account to watch the emails coming in and going out, responded to me as a solicitor, blocked all my responses so they went to them.
You're monitoring it.
Then that's exactly what they were doing. They were watching and they jumped in at the perfect time to suck you in.
Sally was sent into a deep state of shock.
I was distraught.
To say the least.
Yeah.
Sally fought with her solicitors for the next 12 months over who was to blame, and she eventually settled for £55,000. But it meant Sally and her family had still lost nearly half of their inheritance.
What has this meant for you and your family financially, though? Because you had plans for that money.
Yeah, it just means what we wanted to do, we can't do. But I just have to keep saying to myself, my mum and dad would be proud that I got over half back.
Sally sent her passport and other documents to her solicitor, so she's now worried about how much of her personal information the scammers have got hold of and what that could mean for the future.
We were buying our first house. We'd saved up for about 5 years. We lived in this tiny flat just so we could save. We had a mortgage advisor and he was sending us emails like what deals he had and things like that. And somewhere in between these emails, somebody hacked him. So they were emailing us pretending to be him. They got our bank details, they knew where we worked, they got us national insurance, everything. And then they said to us, you just need to put your deposit into this account and we'll send it off to your mortgage lenders. And I'm like, all right. I'd never bought a house before. I didn't know what you did or where your money went. And we sent it, and we sent $10,700 to him.
Oh my gosh.
And then a week later, he sent us an email saying, don't send any money to this account, it's not me, I've been hacked. I said, well, it's a bit late for that, we've already sent it.
5 years' savings were gone in a flash, leaving Robin and Scott with the task of picking up the pieces. And so the email that you'd sent to your mortgage advisor over the week, were you putting in your bank details?
Yeah.
And personal details about yourself.
Yeah, they wanted like his passport details, they wanted 6 months worth of bank statements, which we gave, everything.
And this was money that you and your partner were putting towards a new house. What was the impact like when you realised that this was all a scam?
Awful. Just cried a lot. We didn't go to work for a few days. We just couldn't face anybody, really. I didn't want to speak to anybody.
And what happened when your mortgage advisor, the real one, got in touch with you? What did they say and what was your reaction?
I think he was as shocked as we were. I think nothing's ever happened like that to him before, and he did try and help us. He rang his insurance for indemnity insurance, and they said there's nothing they could do because we'd sent it. It was our fault, basically.
Did you speak to your bank?
Yeah.
What did your bank say?
Same thing, it was our fault.
Did you report it to the police?
Yeah.
And what did they do?
They attempted to track it down. They took our email headers from the emails he'd sent, well, the hacker had sent. They tried tracing it, they just could not trace the IP address to anywhere. And the only evidence they had was from a bank cash machine where they'd stood and took the money out, but they don't keep CCTV that long, so there were nothing. It makes you feel sick because you think, I've worked my butt off for that money. We both did. We both worked in a restaurant at the time. We were picking up shifts, we were staying longer just so we could. So we lived in the tiniest flat in the world, and we thought, just so we can buy this house. And yeah.
And obviously this is something that's affected you and your partner, Scott, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It's a big thing for both of you. Should we have a chat with him?
Yeah, of course.
Let's come on in, Scott.
Hi, Scott. Nice
Hello.
to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Good to see you. We've just been hearing from Robin such an ordeal that you've been through.
It was, yeah.
What was it like for you?
It made me feel angry and helpless and a bit naive, I suppose, that someone's sat behind a keyboard, basically following on the emails and then putting it straight in to steal our money.
What went through your mind when you realised, obviously it was a week later after you'd sent the money, and then you found out? What went through your mind
It's
then?
like the world stopped, because we were so excited and obviously looking at things to purchase for us new house.
Yeah.
And then that just came crashing down because his money had gone.
Now that the scammers have some of the most personal information available on the young couple, Robin is worried about what the fraudsters might do next.
I don't know if they're going to now use our details to then set up another bank account in our names to fraud somebody else out of money.
Hopefully we can go away, do a bit more digging on what information is out there and bring you some good advice that should help going forward.
One of our cases, Robin, was sending payments over to her mortgage advisor, only to find out when she contacted her mortgage advisor that they hadn't received the payments because their email had been hacked. What can she do about this?
Now, legally, we're into a whole grey area about who's responsible here. In theory, because the mortgage company's account's been compromised, you could potentially take them to court. But that's a very difficult scenario to deal with because you'd have to establish what they should have known, when they should have become aware that their details had been compromised, and if the consumer should have done more to basically be aware of the situation. But again, you know, we come back to the banks here. If that money's being transferred over, and because it's been allowed to be transferred out of the receiving bank so quickly, it limits the options for reporting the fraud and actually for getting this sorted out.
What should we be doing to keep ourselves safe when we're dealing with legal and financial representatives?
If people are working with mortgage brokers or solicitors, then always be really, really wary about emails that come through. They might look official, they might even be from the same address, but never transfer any money without speaking to your contact at the mortgage brokers or solicitors. Always be wary and never click on a link or follow instructions in an email.